Disclaimer content warning. This story includes accounts of sexual violence, rape, kidnapping, physical abuse, forced miscarriages, and severe psychological trauma. Some details are disturbing. Listener discretion is strongly advised on a quiet, seemingly ordinary block in the Tremont neighborhood of Cleveland, Ohio, at House Number 2207 Seymour Avenue. One of the darkest chapters of true crime unfolded, a chapter of deception, terror, and unimaginable suffering. For over a decade, from 2002 until 2013, three young women were held captive inside that house, stripped of their freedom, subjected to brutality, and denied any hope of escape. Their lives did not end quietly behind the boarded-up windows and locked doors. Their rescue would shock a city and the world. But first, we must go back to the man who built the hell behind closed doors. Ariel Castro was born on July 10, 1960, in Dewey, Yaco, Puerto Rico. As a child, he endured a troubled upbringing. According to reports, he was sexually abused from a young age and subjected to physical and emotional abuse by family members. At some point, his family relocated to the United States, settling in Cleveland, Ohio, where relatives already lived. Castro attended Lincoln West High School and eventually, in adulthood, he became a school bus driver. He lived at 2207 Seymour Avenue, a two-story house with a basement in Tremont, which he bought in 1992. The home, modest, unassuming, measured roughly 1,400 square feet, with a 760 square foot unfinished basement. At first glance, he seemed like an ordinary, if somewhat troubled man, but behind closed doors, something far more sinister was being nurtured. Neighbors knew him as a bus driver, a local man. Some say he even socialized, appeared ordinary. Yet the very house where he lived, the unremarkable home on Seymour Avenue, would soon become a prison for innocents. Between August 2002 and April 2004, Castro abducted three women, each already part of his periphery, each trusting him for different reasons. Michelle Knight, age 21, some sources 20, vanished on August 23, 2002 after leaving a cousin's house. Amanda Berry, then 16, disappeared on April 21, 2003, shortly after finishing her shift at a Burger King. Gina DeJesus, just 14 years old, vanished in January 2000, for some reports note early 2004, while walking home from school. Each of those disappearances was tragic and puzzling at the time. Two young teens, a young adult woman. Their families searched, friends waited, but public attention gradually faded. Little did the world know they were all under the same roof, separated only by walls, chains, lies, and fear. Castro's method was chillingly simple. He offered rides a favor from a familiar face, from someone they thought they might recognize. In each instance, the victim accepted, stepped into his car, and was transported to 2207 Seymour Avenue. From there, the nightmare began. Once inside, they were coerced, restrained, deceived. Prosecutors who later presented evidence described the house as a prison. Locked bedrooms, boarded-up windows so no sunlight could enter, doors bolted, and rooms that reeked of despair. They lived in squalor. Plastic toilets in rooms emptied rarely, sometimes infrequently little. Food one meal a day, restricted bathing sometimes only twice a week, minimal bathroom privileges, and no freedom to leave. In the words of prosecutors, diaries kept by the captives recount forced sexual conduct, being locked in a dark room, anticipating the next session of abuse, being chained to a wall, being held like a prisoner of war. One of the victims, Michelle Knight, endured repeated rapes resulting in at least 5 pregnancies, each time. She miscarried after brutal beatings, punches, kicks, starvation. Her body bore the scars, her spirit the weight. Another victim, Amanda Berry, gave birth in captivity to a little girl, fathered by Castro. For years that child lived inside those walls, oblivious to the horror. Gina DeJesus, only 14 when abducted, was trapped as a child, discarded childhood in locked rooms, sharing the horror of captivity with other women she hardly knew and yet depended on for survival. All the while, Castro maintained a double life, driving a school bus, interacting with neighbors, living among a community that had no idea what lay behind those boarded-up windows. For years, the world believed these women were just missing persons. Flyers were posted, family members waited, but gradually hope faded. Many assumed they had run away or succumbed to drugs or met some tragic fate. In the case of Michelle Knight, some believed she had abandoned her son, a tragedy. Yes, but not a crime. Policing efforts came close in 2004. Authorities visited Castro's home at 2207 Seymour Avenue after a child welfare alert, but he answered the door. No one inside raised flags. He explained that he lived alone or that no crime was obvious. The investigation was dropped. Inside, the victims were locked away, the boarded-up windows, the nightly lock-ins, the isolation, all part of a system of control so meticulous, so chilling, that the horror persisted unseen for years. In those dark rooms, the captives clung to each other, emotional anchors in a sea of suffering. According to survivors' later testimonies, they would read by faint light, talk quietly, comfort each other when the beatings came, whisper hope of escape. In letters and diaries, they documented every violation, the beatings, the rapes, the starvation, the senseless fear. Those diaries would later become central evidence, a testament to their torment and their resilience. May 6, 2013, a date that would change everything. On that morning, a rare error. One of the interior doors was left unlocked. Seizing the moment, Amanda Berry, with her then 6-year-old daughter, approached the door. She pounded, screamed, waving her arms, crying for help. Her desperate pleas reached the ears of neighbors. One neighbor, later identified as Charles Ramsey, heard the screams. He and another neighbor kicked in the bottom of the storm door while Berry freed herself and her child. She escaped, crying, "Help me, I'm Amanda Berry. I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years, and I'm here. I'm free now." Moments later, police guns drawn entered the house. Upstairs, in locked rooms, they found two more women, Michelle Knight and Gina DeJesus. The sight was surreal, 3 women, alive after more than a decade in captivity. That day, May 6, 2013, ended a nightmare that had lasted 10 to 11 years. Castro was arrested that same night in a nearby parking lot by Cleveland police. Initially, his two brothers, Pedro Castro and Ariel Castro, were taken into custody, but were released within 24 hours. Investigators found no evidence they were involved. Inside 2207 Seymour Avenue, police found more than 99 feet of chains, shackles, locks, evidence of long-term imprisonment. Prosecutors revealed the victims' diaries, horrific accounts of abuse, starvation, sexual violence, constant fear. They described forced sexual conduct, being locked in dark rooms, being chained to a wall. Held like prisoners of war, the court heard. Each woman's life and the life of a child bore the weight of these horrors. In July 2013, Castro accepted a plea bargain, pleading guilty to 937 criminal counts: kidnapping, rape, aggravated murder, including causing forced miscarriages. On August 1, 2013, a judge sentenced him to life in prison without possibility of parole plus 1,000 additional years. But justice did not end the nightmare. Just a month later, on September 3, 2013, Ariel Castro was found dead in his prison cell, suicide by hanging, the house at 2207 Seymour Avenue. The physical space of pain was demolished on August 7, 2013. Many gathered to watch. One of the victims, Michelle Knight, distributed yellow balloons, each representing a missing or lost child. The balloons floated into the sky, a silent but powerful tribute to lives disrupted and stolen. In place of the house now stands a patch of grass, a memorial of sorts, a reminder that evil sometimes hides behind ordinary walls. The survivors, injured in body, mind, and spirit, have worked to rebuild their lives. Some gave interviews, some wrote memoirs. Their resilience is a testament to human strength against unimaginable odds, yet trauma doesn't vanish with cages or chains. Memories linger, triggers, sights, smells, sounds can reopen scars. As one survivor later said, certain smells and light fixtures still evoke terror years after their rescue. It's tempting to ask, how could no one notice? How did 3 women vanish over years without neighbors, friends, authorities realizing what was happening? Part of the answer lies in the façade. Castro appeared as a normal man, a bus driver, a neighbor, someone with a home. His crimes were hidden behind closed doors, in a house that outwardly looked ordinary. His victims were people he knew, friends of his children, acquaintances, those who trusted a ride. That trust was twisted into betrayal. Also, fear, control, isolation, in plastic toilet rooms, with boarded windows, chains, threats, with physical abuse so brutal that even pregnancies ended in miscarriages, with psychological terror that stripped hope, will, identity, and over time, silence. The captives had no voice, their cries muffled by fear, their pleas hidden behind walls. This story is a painful reminder. Sometimes evil doesn't appear monstrous at first glance. Sometimes it wears the mask of normalcy and thrives in the darkness where no one looks. During their captivity, the women kept diaries. They documented everything: the horror, the pain, the broken trust, the degradation, but also the hopes. Hope for rescue, hope for reunion, dreams of light beyond the terror. These diaries later became evidence, proof that behind the silence there was suffering. Inside the house, the women forged bonds. Michelle took on a protective, almost maternal role toward Gina and Amanda. In the deepest darkness, they comforted each other, whispered memories of a life outside, clung to hope, counted days, shared the little they had, a candy bar on a birthday, a flicker of light, a quiet prayer that one day they might leave. Their resilience, mental, emotional, spiritual, became the backbone of their survival. And when freedom finally came, their voices trembling but alive told the world what happened. Their courage brought justice. Their survival became a symbol, not of victimhood, but of endurance. What do you think? Could you imagine living for years locked behind walls, stripped of freedom, hope, dignity? If you saw something suspicious, boarded windows, strange comings and goings, would you question? Investigate? Act? Do you believe the world truly sees its vulnerable, or do we look away? We like to believe our neighborhoods are safe, but sometimes evil hides behind normal doors. Sometimes silence has a sound, a cry unheard. This story isn't just about horror, it's about human resilience, about survival against odds, about the strength of will, the power of hope, and about the urgent need for awareness. If one message echoes from this tale, let it be vigilance, empathy, a refusal to turn away. The house is gone. The chains, the locks, the plastic toilets destroyed, buried, erased, but the scars remain, for survivors, for families, for humanity. But from the ashes rises a message. We must never forget. We must never assume that normal equals safe. We must listen. We must question. We must care. Because for some, escape is not a door left unlocked. It begins only when someone listens. Until next time, we are case closed. Stay aware, stay safe, and remember, every life, no matter how short, leaves an imprint.